Thanks, Sarah, and good day, everyone. Quickly, in 10 minutes, I will present our project, which aims to develop a site-specific rehabilitation system underpinned by the local community's knowledge and practices as a model for wider implementation in other legacy and active mines worldwide. We've received funding from various institutions to undertake this ambitious project started in 2022. And we selected one pilot site abandoned for more than 40 years, and the indigenous peoples have started to reclaim it for housing and agricultural use without any rehabilitation activities. They are aware of the risks, but because of their strong connection to the lands, they went back after the mining company, and 90% of the community there belongs to indigenous people. We investigated the three subsystems in the community to understand the breadth and depth of the problems, and we put the local community as a central feature of the project. We are 15 chief investigators and over 30 research assistants to date from different sorts of discipline. Our first challenge was to access the community actually due to the resistance. It took us more than 6 months of long negotiation, both online and face-to-face, guided by the indigenous knowledge systems and practices. It's a series of steps shown in the figure. It's an arduous process, and we adhere to that process that they imposed to us. We work with the community guided by our framework, which is available online, with the ultimate goal of empowering them to make leadership role and develop their technical skills to implement rehabilitation strategies. We ensured equitable access for diverse demographics, including women, youth, school children, and people with disability. Before we co-designed rehabilitation strategies with the community, we conducted a range of analysis, including X-ray and electron microscopy of rocks and soils, to identify the minerals present in our samples. Also, we used drone data to reconstruct the site's topography, enabling us to develop a three-dimensional model of our site. In addition, an extensive water analysis was carried out, and results show that all metals exceeded the local and international standards. We also tested hyperaccumulator plants from the site, earthworms, and bacteria, and used them for mesocost of experiment to develop the best mix for growing hyperaccumulator plants to clean the site. I am leading the social team and explored various social data and developed a working version of the data cube using QGIS, integrating the environmental, technical, and social data. We use this data cube to work with the community to inform our decisions and to co-design rehabilitation strategies. Some of the things that we did include providing farming support to make their farming practices more efficient to increase their yields, and year one monitoring results show that farmers have increased their capital outlay by more than 20%. We addressed also the low literacy of primary school students by establishing reading centers in schools, and we trained teachers for teaching literacies and trained students for book writing to document their aspirations for the environment and for the future. Safe and abundant water supply was one of the main concerns of the community. We identified potential water sources and installed leach bed to reduce water pH for agricultural use, and we also installed water tanks across the farming beds in the area. We trained local researchers and they become part of the research team. We involve them not only in sampling and data analysis, but also provide them with various opportunities to lead in the dissemination of the results in national and international conferences. We organized a citizen science in 2 schools through campus journalism. This is one of the extracurricular activities of the Department of Education of the Philippines. But for the longest time, the schools have not participated in any activities due to the lack of skills and resources. The organic farming activity was mainly for women, but other men asked to participate. And together with the Department of Agriculture, we organized the training, and experimentation is going on at the moment to test their technology. Our project is underpinned by the principle of inclusion, which is one of the best features that we have. We also address the livelihood needs of people with disabilities. We provided them with capital and training to venture into tailoring, and the local government unit provided a place for this enterprise. One organization has been wanting to venture into organic livestock production. We provided the training and resources, and after 9 months, they have perfected the technology for swine raising, and more than 60% of the raw materials are from their surrounding. Now, based on our initial work in year one, we developed this socio-environmental transformation framework we co-designed with the community. One feature embedded is number 14, our exit strategy. After 3 years working with the community, we are enacting our sustainability framework with the community as the central feature leading this project. Now, from those activities, we organized and supported our project taps into 9 UN Sustainable Development Goals, from no poverty by funding community economic activities, including people with disabilities, to partnership for the goals by building strong partnership with local and government units. Our project has resulted to many publications, and they're available online, and conference presentations as well. We're also featured in many national and international news outlets. We were amongst the 14 selected projects that exhibited in the 2024 Royal Society of Science in the United Kingdom. And just to introduce our team, these are the chief investigators from the other 4 institutions. Some of them might be familiar to you. And currently, these are the things that we are doing, rolling out the sustainability framework for our exit strategy, and also refinement of the data cube, particularly in visualization. We are working with a data scientist to do that, to ensure that the community would be able to understand it and use it. And also deployment of community-driven wastewater treatment facilities, evaluation of socioeconomic activities, and many other projects going on at the moment. So if you have any suggestions to further improve our project, please let us know. And I hope I did not go over 10 minutes. Just to guide you with the framing of your question, I'm a social scientist. I'm not a technical person, so that would help you to frame your questions around my expertise as well. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you very, very much, Dennis. Fantastic. Round of applause. And don't worry, you are being beautifully on time. So you get a gold star with regards to that. So Dennis, with regards to the project, I know that you gave us the overview. Before you started doing research there, did any of the research team have connections to the community, or like where did all of that come from a social perspective?
Um, During COVID, we have another project involving Legacy Mine, but in 2022, we proposed a project to one of the funding agencies of the UK, and we get rejected. And
Mm,
so we find another opportunity, and we identified a legacy mine. And in the Philippines, there are many legacy mines which were abandoned before the Act of the Philippines was implemented. So before, the mining company can just leave the area without any rehabilitation effort. And one of these that we have identified is the Santo Niño in the northern Philippines. We
mm,
don't have any connection in the area. We went there, the Philippine team, including me, went there and started talking with people about their concerns before the project has started. And then we said, yes, let's take this area because it's very interesting. And majority of the people come from indigenous people's groups. So no, we don't have any connections at all. So that takes us 6 months of negotiation amongst local government units, the barangay government units, and also with the indigenous people leaders, because they have a very, very unique structure. Though they have the local government unit, they have also the indigenous people's leadership unit that protect the area as well. So yeah. So from mistrust, now we're integral part of the community,
And
which
so,
is really great.
so with that, I guess, I mean, with your social scientist hat on, there's a lot of discussion about parachute science, and especially so, for example, research projects that are led by, say, places in the UK or Australia, going into different parts of the world and say, right, we're going to come and do research to you. Now, I'm not saying that's what you're doing at all, but have you had any discussions with people about um, how you're not doing that, I guess?
That's one of the challenge, the issue that they've raised actually when we went there. They don't want any researcher anymore because for more than 3 decades, researchers come and go, and they were promised of so many things, but nothing happened. And
Mm,
that's one of the things that they raised. So we negotiated with them that we're not one of those researchers.
hmm
We built that kind of trust, and so There are so many issues they've raised, including the use of some terminologies. Even our title, Bio+Mine, they don't like it because the mine or mining triggers something in them.
Mm,
So, but we explained it to them. We went to the community, and even the word sampling, when we say we get samples, for them, sampling is an exploitation because they were exploited for how many decades. So
yeah.
there's lots of tensions and mistrust, and it took us more than 6 months to build that small trust little by little. And so we promised to them and we delivered our promises with them. And so we involved them right from the beginning. We said that your views, your perceptions, your knowledge and skills will be integrated in the project and you will be the central feature of the Biomind project.
So maybe building on some of the questions that are coming in, how did you how did you start building that trust? And so, for
We,
example, Diana's asking, like, how did you overcome that very initial opposition? How did you begin to open the door and show that you're not just like all those other researchers?
so we followed all the rituals they imposed to us. So
Mhm.
there's tribal rituals. We participated. We outlined all the activities that we'll be doing. We outlined all the things that we should not be doing and agreed. And we signed up with memorandum of agreement, not only at the community level, but at the regional level of the National Council for Indigenous People. So we went all through all those legal processes. It's an arduous process and very expensive, plus time because we lost 6 months of the initial time that we should be doing all the activities. Yeah, it's a very challenging, but once we gain their trust, every time they hear Biomind, they gather in the hall that we're using every time we get there. Last week, actually, the water team went there to monitor the water sources that we're planning to install. Uh, that will be planning to use for water for agricultural and domestic use.
Mm. So building on that, this is another question that's come in from Nadia. And Nadia is asking, could you tell us a bit more about how the community leadership was developed? And I guess that kind of ownership by the community in the project. My apologies, Nadia, if I'm misrepresenting your question, but kind of tell us more about it. So they went from really not wanting you there at all to now, I guess, I mean, do they own a lot of the research and what's being done now, or what does that look like?
So when we started the project, we went there and then we started presenting our project. And I said, we need to stop telling them what we will be doing, but instead we're going to have the conversation with them, what they want with the community. So instead of coming from the position of privilege and power, we empower them to voice out what they want in the community. And we ensure that all those views and perceptions that they have, we've got massive data set, interviews, survey, we integrated that in the initial plan that we have. And every activity that we do, we co-design it with them instead of imposing what we want. We listen to them and we build, and that builds trust with them as well. So yeah, it's a co-design project, and I think that built a lot of trust. And in terms of leadership, we identified those gatekeepers and we tap them, we involve them in every sampling that we did and we are doing at the moment. And we have constant negotiation with them. And one of the process that we did as well as part of the our permitting was every time we have a result, we have to go back to the community and provide them the opportunity to interrogate the data. What do the data tell them, and then how they can use that to help us develop and enact rehabilitation strategies. So there's that constant communication, empowerment, and transfer of leadership as well.
So, so that's brilliant. How have you find it trying to get the other academics, so the technical researchers, to understand that actually this might take this might take longer, or there are slightly different ways of doing the data collection, etc. How's that been?
So it's quite challenging from our team because we're only three social scientists and
Yeah.
mostly engineers, geologists, and many others. Right in the beginning, we always have this communication that we have to do this X, Y, and Z in a certain period of time. But
Mm,
I keep on telling them that we have to manage our expectations It's not a straightforward process that when we go there, we can get the sampling. We are dealing with people with emotions, perceptions, and views and knowledge and experiences. And this might take a while. So from positivist kind of thinking, we go to a more social kind of thinking, and it's really amazing to see how the team evolved in that process as well, from the positivist approach to a more social approach, and also, having that coming from a privilege of, from the position of privilege and power to a more relational kind of approach with the community. So we're actually thinking to write a reflection paper amongst the team members, how they change their view in terms of working with the community, coming from the technical point of view, and uh, finding the nexus between the technical field and the social science field.
And so just finally with that, if you were to redesign the project, because I suspect that when the proposal was put in for funding, it was designed primarily by the geologists and the engineers with a very strict timelines and everything. If you were given the power to go back in time and redesign the project, is there anything you would change?
I will bring in more social scientists in the beginning, because in the
Yeah.
beginning I was the only social scientist doing it. And I think my advantage is I could speak the language of the community. And my background as well is in biology and environmental science before transitioning to social science and education. So I could understand both. But if I'll redesign the project right from the beginning, I'll bring in more social scientists in the team. But yeah,
Brilliant. Well, with that, the learning here is put the social scientist first, everybody, because that way we can design a much more robust project that actually puts the communities and the people on the ground at the top of the agenda rather than perhaps the science, shall we say. But it's all very important. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Dennis. And this is a fantastic example of where we should be going with a lot of our projects. Thank you very much.
thanks, Sarah, and thank you, everyone.
Brilliant. Excellent.